Hello, in this video I'm going to be looking at the KJpz TIII Jager. This thing has released before, but I believe it is going to be released in crates on Friday, the I believe 8th of May, which is, it should be when this video is dropping. But the TIII Jager is a pretty unique tank. I really like how this tank plays. It's really enjoyable as a kind of support sniper tank destroyer. I'd compare it a bit to the Waffenträger Ritter or like a tier 9 SU-130 PM, but instead of the alpha damage, it has got really good DPM and insane accuracy. This thing just has everything you could want. If you like sniper tank destroyers, or if you like turreted tank destroyers, this will be the perfect tank. It's got a fully traversable turret, 9 degrees of gun depression over every area of the tank, which is a lot for a turreted tank destroyer. It's got decent enough frontal armor. It's not going to bounce anything, but it's not too easy to HE. It's got great camo rating, incredible accuracy, very high 3700 DPM, great penetration, just like it's perfect for a sniper tank destroyer, and you will see that in the gameplay. But for the moment, let's just get into the tank itself. Now, when this video comes out, this review should be ready on the site, and there will be a link in the description if you do want to check it out without any of this commentary over, this. But the KJpz TIII Jager, you can see its armor. It's not the best. It does have an auto ricochet upper plate, but that is only two guns which are smaller than 114mm in caliber. There's not really any 114mm guns, so we'll go with 105s and smaller will bounce, and 120s and larger will not bounce. And the easiest way to explain that is this. This is 230mm of penetration from a 120mm gun, the Erich Concept 1. You can see the blue area, fully penetrable, very easy to go through, compared to a 105mm gun such as the one on the Tiger II, and you can see here it's a ricochet. It is not going to go through the upper plate just because it is angled very well. But the difference is if you have a heat round, for example, that does have a chance to penetrate through, and you can see there it does go through in this case, and that's just because heat does not have to, it does not ricochet at 70 degrees. The other thing to note is that, of course, other than heat being able to penetrate your upper plate and the overmatch, is your lower plate is not super strong, and it can be HE'd by tanks with, relatively decent HE penetration. It is only 45mm thick, which is pretty weak for a lower plate, but you can angle to kind of stop it going through, and generally you're pretty hard to HE. You do have to watch out for Hesh a bit though. So it's not got the best armor, but it's kind of a sniper tank destroyer. You're not really expecting great armor from such a tank. What's more important is the gun. This tank mounts a 120mm gun. Its standard ammo is APCR with 217mm of penetration. It's actually really nice standard ammo because it has amazing show velocity, 1500 meters per second. It's super quick show velocity, and you are like a laser at long range. So sure, APCR not as good penetration as AP, but I would say in this case it's actually kind of worth it because you are a sniper tank destroyer. Next, heat ammo is 335 penetration. That isn't the best, but still for a tier 9 tank destroyer, also not the worst thing in the world, and generally for the most part you'll be penetrating through the majority of tanks without any issue really, especially with how accurate this gun is. HE 65, that's pretty normal, also pretty normal alpha damage on HE at 500. Reload time 6.5 and 3720 DPM. In terms of alpha damage and reload time, I would say this gun feels a bit like a Tortoise gun. If you've played the Tortoise before, it's a very slow kind of armored tank. So having this type of gun on a more mobile, agile platform is actually pretty unique, and it's quite enjoyable. It's quite different to other turreted tank destroyers in terms of how it plays. Next, the aim time is 3.1 or 3.3 seconds, which is pretty decent for, a tank destroyer, especially one with a turret. Base aim time is 1.9, which is not bad, and its dispersion is what's really special. It has the best accuracy in the game at 0.272, and you can get that down to 0.3231 with refined gun. The gun handling is not anything special, especially for a tank destroyer. That's pretty average, not bad either, especially when turning the turret. 0.1, quite good. Like I mentioned, the shell velocity on standard ammo is really good. On heat and HE though, it's just pretty average really for those types of ammo, and full 9 degrees of gun depression around the entire tank, which is, well, it's really nice. A lot of the other tank destroyers with a rear-mounted turret and fully traversable turret usually don't have the same gun depression all around the entire tank, but for the Jaeger it does have it just everywhere, over the front, over the side, and even over the rear. So you can, well, you can angle it however you want, and a lot of paper TD players will know that coming round backwards around the corner, sometimes something you have to do. So still having that good gun depression over the rear, it's quite useful, quite relevant. And also a fully traversable turret, much better than, well, like halfway on each side. It is super useful for any TD really, and actually a decent turret traverse speed. It's not like 16 degrees per second on some certain tank destroyers. So overall, amazing gun, stats in every area. It's accurate, it has a quick reload, its alpha damage isn't super high, nor is its premium penetration, but it makes up for that with just such a quick reload, such incredible accuracy, and, well, great flexibility for a tank destroyer, which is, like, it's super enjoyable. But again, like I said, you'll see it in the gameplay. Mobility. This tank goes 45, which isn't super quick, but it's not bad for a tank destroyer either. Reverse speed is 14, that's not the best, but still for a tank destroyer, you're generally expecting around 15 kilometers per hour of reverse speed, so it's not terrible either. Acceleration rate is 23 horsepower per ton, which is actually really quick, and this tank weighs 52 tons with a 1200 horsepower engine. Is that correct? I have to check that because I did copy paste this review. Yes, it is correct. This tank weighs 52 tons, so you can actually ram lighter medium tanks and light tanks for quite a bit of damage, considering this thing weighs as much as some heavy tanks weigh. Actual acceleration is 23 on hard terrain with a decent 44 degrees per second of traverse speed. You do have to note though, on medium terrain the traverse speed does significantly reduce because of that 1.3 terrain resistance, and it goes down by about 10 degrees per second. So if you can, for traversing, getting your gun turned, your hull turned, try keep to hard terrain if possible. Also, the acceleration rate also decreases by quite a bit to 17.5 horsepower per ton. But still, not the worst thing in the world, especially considering you have a fully turning turret. You're generally not going to be struggling to get your gun turned or actually get aimed in on an enemy. So the T3 Jager, it does have this camo. I'm not going to bother pronouncing it, but I think it means like autumn forest or something. I'm not sure how this camo is going to be released, probably a 6% drop chance in the crates. But yeah, this is the legendary camo for the KJpz TIII Jager. In terms of consumables, this is what I run. I have the engine power boost just because I feel like it's still helpful for getting out of positions when you need to, especially because its power to weight ratio on medium terrain does drop down quite a bit compared to hard terrain. If you're having to run up hills and run away from a bad situation, I think the engine power boost helps quite a lot. Of course, you want adrenaline because this is a DPM type tank, so it really benefits from that. And of course, the multi-purpose restoration pack just for general repairs. Next, provisions. This tank has the normal provision set. So again, just as with most other tanks, I would go with double food and fuel. Fuel is needed for your mobility, and double food just to maximize on your, well, great gun traits basically. I don't think protective kit is really needed, and if you did want to use protective kit on this tank, honestly I'd just say use repair kit instead of the engine power boost. That way you have more repairs in a battle and you don't have to worry about the protective kit as much. Equipment wise, what I would run on this tank is gun rammer. I wouldn't go with calibrated shells. Yes, its premium penetration isn't anything super impressive for a tank destroyer, and standard ammo being APCR also means it's a bit less than other tier 9 tank destroyers. But consider what the point of playing this tank is. It has a very accurate gun, it has a very high DPM, it has a very quick reload. If you want to maximize on that, I would say go with gun rammer, because this plays into that quick reload. And you may think, oh, it's only 186 DPM, but still, that does make a difference, and it's still quite a bit of a DPM difference between 3500 and 3700. Next, defense system, because improved modules is useless at the moment. Camouflage net, because you are a tank destroyer. You don't have great view range at all, and this tank with its high camo rating really benefits from the camo net. Next, I would not personally go with engine accelerator. As I mentioned, this tank loses 10 degrees per second of traverse speed when going to medium terrain, so I think having improved control is actually a bit more useful than having the engine accelerator. But that's just up to me. I would honestly consider try both yourself. See which one feels better, because it's going to be different for every player, for how you play the tank, how you sort of feel, and what stats you value on the tank. Okay, next, use improved assembly, because there isn't any really noteworthy armor on this tank to actually kind of enhance. You can see here facing 225 penetration, turning on enhanced armor does absolutely nothing, so it's not really any point actually using enhanced armor on this vehicle. The extra hit points is going to be useful, especially just for surviving a bit longer in the game. Definitely use enhanced gun lane drive, do not use supercharger. Sure, it would be funny to have insane shell velocity, but you just do not need it. And this tank's aim time, while it is pretty decent at 1.9 seconds, it's still not super quick for a 400 alpha gun. It's not, well, yeah, like I said, it's not super quick. It's not like the Chinese mediums, that type of thing. You still do have to stop and actually aim in, and you'll see that in the gameplay. And especially as I don't recommend using vertical stabilizer on this tank, I'd say use the gun lane drive. But yeah, next, vertical stabilizer or refined gun. I would say you want to min-max the accuracy on this tank, use refined gun. It's generally going to be better. You are a sniper tank destroyer. Most of the time you have time to actually stop, aim in, and then have the best accuracy possible with a refined gun. For the most part, unless you do really play this tank very actively, you're constantly moving around, constantly playing second line, repositioning, then I don't think vertical stabilizer is going to be as beneficial for you as refined gun. Just because refined gun, beneficial in all situations, but vertical stabilizer, not so much if you're sitting still sniping most of the time. The final two are just normal, as with other tanks setups. So I do have two battles in the KJpz TIII Jager. There you can see its legendary camo name. I think it's Herbstwald. Don't quote me on that, I'm not German. But yeah. So on this battle we have a very nice top tier matchup. 2 tier 9s and 5 tier 8s on each team, which is going to be very nice for this tank. Not that it matters too much, because this tank plays the same, whether it's facing tier 8 enemies or facing tier 10 enemies. First and foremost, this thing is a sniper tank destroyer. You don't want to be taking it to the front lines, you don't want to be playing it second line at the beginning of the battle, not unless you're really skilled and you know exactly what you're doing. This thing doesn't have the armor really, or the durability to kind of take up that role at the beginning of the battle. You want to be sitting far away from enemies where you can use your good camo rating, your great accuracy to get damage. And you can see here I've taken up a pretty usual sniper position on Castilla. getting an early shot on that Tiger II. Now, notice against this Bisonte how quick I've reloaded, but also how the shell just basically instantly hits the target. That's the really nice 1500 meters per second shell velocity. And just like that, 3 shots already done on the enemies. And when you do activate Adrenaline, you can see it's a 5.5 second reload. But at this point, we've basically lost the heavy flank. Our Destiny, who is completely stock, is going to die. Is he completely stock? I don't think he was fully upgraded, but he's dead. And now it's just 2 tank destroyers, the G-Saw and me versus 2 enemy heavy tanks. But notice here, I'm not spotted. This tank has got really nice camo rating. Unfortunately there, I do get set on fire. But really nice camo rating on this tank, and also it has the 7-second unspotting mechanic, which is that red eye you see on the Tiger II. Which I forgot to mention, but it is helpful for this tank. You can be really sneaky due to that, and also just it works quite well with your 6.5 second reload. But yeah, Tiger II gets pretty lucky there, blind shots me. But here you can see I'm going to go against this Bisonte. He moves, allowing me to spot him while I remain unspotted. I can get an easy shot into him using this thing's heat. But again, unspotted now. And considering the enemy heavy tanks weren't able to spot me before, I'm going to go back again and try get another shot into that Bisonte. G-Saw right now doesn't really have the durability, and he is also much closer, so he would get spotted. So I go out, put a shot into the Bisonte, and G-Saw decides to finish him off. So, very nice. Heavy flank defended. Now I'm going to go back up the hill and, well, try get some more shots off on whoever's trying to cross. But you can see there just how this tank plays, right? It starts out as a TD. If you need to, you can kind of play a bit more of an active role. That one wasn't so much active, but still, I had to kind of go back, trade some of my hit points, and try to defend this side of the map from the enemies who are advancing. And notice here, this thing's really nice flexibility. The fully traversing turret, the 9 gun depression, allows me to just get back, reverse against this Tiger Mouse, and easily get in, well, you'll see 3 shots in total, while only taking 1 in return. And again, the quick reload, oh my goodness, the quick reload is so nice. 3 shots in the Tiger Mouse, he does 380 back to me, and you know, I did 1200 back to him, just so quickly. Unfortunately, of course, from shooting I did get spotted, so now I'm down to a 1-shot for most of the tanks on the enemy team, so I do now need to be a bit more careful. But it seems like there's no one who's going to be pushing there anymore, so I decide I'll go over and try to kill that Tiger II. Well, or the AMX, who is now on base C, but you can see AMX is spotted. The aim time on this tank pretty decent, and I get an HE shot into the side of that AMX. Now, in this game I am running vertical stabilizer. This is a new press account, so I completely just forgot to think when equipping the tank, so I had vertical stabilizer equipped, but I still would recommend refined gun. Now in this situation I don't really want to push the AMX. He could have the 400 alpha gun, which would finish me off in a single shot, and I wouldn't have a chance to bounce him on the upper plate. So I'm not quite wanting to push forward, so I decide to kind of go under base C, which is a bit of a risky maneuver, to be fair, because base C did just get capped, and, well, whatever tank was there could be rushing towards me down the river. Fortunately, he's not, but then it turns out it's a Type 61, and I do get shot in return. Fortunately for me, though, the Type 61 doesn't high roll, and I survive on 28 hit points. So now, considering the Type is kind of preoccupied with tanks in the river, I'm going to try flank, get behind him, and use this thing's high DPM. You can see now Adrenaline Rush is on the cruise skill, and I have a, what was it, 6-second reload, so really quick DPM now, and I'm not quite wanting to push. I'm deciding to let the other tanks on my team go and, well, deal with the enemies. And you can see there the AMX shoots, and he doesn't have the top gun mounted. It is the 105mm or the 90mm. But still, either of those would kill me, so I don't really want to push. I decide to take up this area on the other side of the hill in case the tiger mouse can be shot from where I am. But yeah, basically that is it for this game. I will just skip towards the end because the majority of the end of this battle I don't think I'm really doing anything. Just sitting on this hill waiting for the game to end. Tiger Mouse is over there, and it turns out the AMX is actually AFK, which is unfortunate. Could have been a lot more damage on this battle, but I had no way to know he was AFK. He was shooting until the last point I hadn't spotted him. But yeah, that is basically how this tank plays, right? You're sniping. At some point of the battle, you've got to be a bit more active, support your team, get around, and just use that really high DPM, the really nice accuracy. 5.3k damage there. Had I killed the AMX, it would have been 6k, but oh well. First class with a high caliber medal, and this tank, without any boosters applied, it did make 126,000 credits in that battle. So, this next battle is from a while ago, soon after the tank released, I think, but it is still relevant for the tank. In this one, I am in platoon with, well, another tank, in a light tank, so another player in a light tank, so he will be able to spot for me, hopefully. And in this one, again, you can see how I am playing the tank. Just a sniper roll, get in the bush and try deal damage. In this one, I believe the bush position where I'm at is pretty important because the enemies are going to probably come round the A side. And we don't have any heavy tanks there, so the bush where I'm at is going to be pretty crucial for defending. But you can see in this game, basically, you know, similar gameplay to the last one. You sit there, you wait for the shots, and you do, well, you do damage that way. It may not be the most exciting sounding gameplay, but the TIII Jager can be played in a way which is more active, and like you saw at the end of that game, you're able to get around with the mobility, use the turret and the gun, almost like a big medium tank to get shots off on the enemies. In this game you can see already, it's not going too well. We've lost 2 tanks, my platoon mate is dead, the enemies have pushed over completely on base C, and now it is being capped. Fortunately, you can see there, again, the great accuracy of this tank, able to get some HE shots onto the side of that AMX, and just the very nice quick reload of this vehicle, allowing it to easily push off shots basically left, right and centre. Unfortunately, that one does miss. No idea what happened to it. But then the quick reload allows me to get another shot into the T92. Unfortunately, it does not penetrate, which is a bit annoying. But you can see now, we're basically kind of pinned at the back of the map. We don't have any map control, and, well, we've basically got to try and defend this as well as possible. Unfortunately there, my shot does miss because I was turning the turret. But fortunately, our T92E1 does finish off the enemy one. But one thing I'd like to mention, again, this tank doesn't play differently between tier 8 and tier 10. It's just a sniper tank destroyer in both tiers. Sure, relative to tier 8 enemies, you do have a bit more hit points, you do, well, relatively higher damage compared to tier 10 tanks, but it's not really going to change how you play the tank and how you deal with enemies. It is still a sniper vehicle, and you can see here how that is working out for us. The fully traversing turret, the camo rating, the quick reload, the great accuracy is allowing us to actually relatively well defend against the enemies, which are now coming from basically every angle. But right now I made the decision, I probably have to get out of that position because we're kind of being attacked on all sides, and the T92 is going to go down, as he does there. So, right now, 800 hit points, the SU can finish me off in 2 shots, and the Yo, if he, I believe he has the small gun, can finish me off in 1 magazine, so I'm kind of having to try ration my hit points here. Unfortunately, I do take 2 shots. I do get 2 HE shells into the SU, but then I do go down to the Yo. But you can just see there, this tank, it's quite a capable vehicle. That game, for the most part, we were just losing for the entire battle. But the tank held its own pretty well. It was able to defend against enemies coming from all angles due to its mobility, its turret, quick reload, and just, well, get as much damage out of that situation as possible. And you can see there, we come out with 5k compared to the next highest on our team, which is 2k. So, yeah. So, before I give the conclusion on this tank, I do want to properly mention the adaptive concealment mechanic. This tank does have this mechanic, and it allows it to become unspotted in 7 seconds instead of 10. And also, when you are spotted by an enemy, there will be a red eye above the enemy vehicle, as shown on the screen here, and as you saw with that Tiger II in the first battle. And the Bisonte, I guess. But this one, it is quite a useful mechanic. It allows you to go unspotted quicker, hence allowing you to reposition faster and kind of get out of bad situations. It's just a useful mechanic, especially considering this tank has a sub 7 second reload. Even if you use calibrated shells, it's 6.8 seconds. You know, it is a good mechanic to have, and it gives you control over, well, a lot of situations really, as you could see with that Tiger II and the Bisonte in that Castilla battle. So it's quite a nice mechanic to actually have on this tank, and it does really help it. But yeah, the KJpz TIII Jager. What do I think of this tank? Honestly, I don't often say it, but I think this thing is OP. It's not like super strong that you're going to notice it in battle. Like, it doesn't have the armor to really be that kind of vehicle. It's not like the Annihilator, that sort of thing. But I think this thing is too strong, to be honest, for what it is. Like I mentioned, it has everything you would want in a sniper tank destroyer. It's got great camo rating. It has good mobility. It has a fully traversing turret, which is, it's really strong for a sniper tank destroyer to have a fully traversing turret. On top of that, it has 9 degrees of gun depression around the entire tank. Again, that is really strong for a turreted tank destroyer. If you compare it to either Waffenträger, these tanks only have like 2 or 5 degrees of frontal gun depression. Sure, they have 10 over the sides and rear, but that means you have to be reversing around everywhere, and these things have bad reverse speed, 12 kilometers per hour. The Jaeger doesn't have that issue. It has great gun depression on the front, it has better reverse speed, it has better durability, it's got an auto ricochet upper plate. What else? It has great accuracy, incredible DPM, 3700, which generally turreted tank destroyers usually have less DPM than non-turreted counterparts, just because the turret is a massive advantage. Same thing for the accuracy. But this doesn't lose any of that, right? It's got the incredible accuracy, it's got the incredible DPM, the incredible reload like the Tortoise has, it's got the camo rating of a very sneaky tank destroyer, it's got an unspotting mechanic, right? The only thing it doesn't have is great armor. And if it had that, it would literally be broken. But yeah, in my opinion, this is a great tank, a very nice tank. And it's definitely worth having. I wouldn't say gamble for it in crates. I don't think it's the type of tank Wargaming would keep out of the shop because it's too strong. I mean, they've sold tanks like the Object 752 before, and when that released, people thought it was completely OP, and it is still a very strong tank. So TIII Jager definitely will come back for gold, and I think when it does, you know, if you like this style of gameplay, it's definitely one that is worth having, and personally for me, I do really enjoy playing this tank. But yeah, that is it from this video. Thanks all for watching.